Hi all, it's Prism here from Prism and Smithy, coming back with another build video. This time it is for the Barbarian DPS for both AoE and single target. We are basing this video around Tower of the Mad Mage again because yet neither of me nor Smithy, or as his character is called in game, Osiris, have the stats or the health for Zariel. So again, this is based off of Tower of the Mad Mage. So let's jump into it straight away, and we will start with the gear. So, as just like on the Warlock video build, we have the Protege's helmet, which gives you the plus 5% damage in undermounting, the Ebonite breastplate, which gives the stacks of percentage power whenever you hit an enemy for over 10% of your max HP, the Lion Guard wrist guards, which basically have power on them that give you, every time you strike an enemy, you gain power. Every time you're struck by an enemy, you lose a stack of power, which is 250 power per stack. For the feet, we have the Fiend Forged Greaves, which have Gladiator's Might, which is more power, 200 power every 5 seconds, and stacks up to 24 times. The modifications on these are HP on the boots, HP on the wrist guards, HP on the breastplate, and power on the helmet for just that little bit more. For the utility slots, we have a quartermasters and then utilities, and then tacticals on the other utility slots. These will all be swapped out for dark enchantments, like there's one on the boots here, but on the other items at the moment, there are tacticals. For the armor enchantment, you want to use a bark shield, and that ties in with the skills you use as well, which I'll explain in a bit. And for the weapon enchantment, you want Bilethorn or a Vorpal. It just completely depends on the build you want to do. For this build, we use a Bilethorn, purely based on the amount of hits you do with your at-wills on the Barbarian. You proc Bilethorn a lot. For the offensive slots, you want Radiance, and for the defensive slots, you want Brutals. Now, at the moment, this character again is a work in progress, so some of the enchantments are not rank 15, they are only rank 13, maybe 14, so that is still a work in progress. For the weapon set, we have the Lionhearts, because they are best in slot at present. Possibly the Zariel weapons or the Celestial weapons will be better, but as they are the hardest weapons to get in the game at the moment, Lionhearts are great to go for. If you struggle with doing Tower of the Mad Mage at the moment, there is no issue at all with using the Legion Guard set, which is the one which you can farm from the maps in the new area of Avernus. And with the drop rates increased over the last couple of weeks, they are dropping very frequently for a lot of people now. So feel free to go farm some maps and get yourself a decent weapon set, which is better than Burnished or Alabaster. For the 3-piece item set, we have the Apprentice's Spoils, which, because it gives you Inherit Danger, which is when you use a daily power, you do 15% more damage to enemies that are not facing you for 10 seconds. So if you can use your daily and have your 3 encounters off cooldown, you will do a lot of damage, because then once you finish with your encounters, you'll just spam your at will. We have a Striking Ring of the Master for 3% more melee damage. As a Barbarian, all your melee damage, all your skills are melee damage, so you will get that buff on all your skills. For the second ring, we have the nickel-plated ring, which at the moment, it needs to be swapped out. We just haven't worked out how to balance all the stats out for this character at the moment. So the equip power is the encounter powers do 3% more damage. We do need to get another Striking Ring of the Master and balance the stats out more. So we've got 6% melee damage rather than 3%, and then only 3% on encounters. As you did notice on this ring, in one of the offense slots, you will use a Tenebrous enchantment, as this will be proccing a lot for you as well, just like the Bilethorn does. For the waist, we've got the Trobrian's Conduction Cable, which is a part of the set. For the shirt, we've got the Infernal Forge Raid shirt. This does need to be swapped out for the Ebony Stain shirt. It's just it hasn't dropped for this character yet, which we're still farming for. So that bit is a work in progress. So yeah, this will be swapped out for at the moment. This is doing what it needs to do. In terms of trousers, we got the Infernal Forge Restoration trousers. For the trousers, it doesn't necessarily matter what sort of stats it has. You want the equip bonus, which at the moment this isn't the right equip bonus, but it does give the most stats. So it's a bit controversial to what I just said, because you don't really need the stats off it as such. You want the equip bonus, which will generate AP, so you can do more dailies, hence get this set buffing your damage quicker. But at the moment, this is working perfectly fine for what this character needs to do. In terms of artifacts, we've got 3 books and the music box to go with the set. And again, as mentioned in my Warlock video, when you go to swap an artifact, it will more than likely be either the Darkened or the Envenomed for an artifact that you have, such as Lantern or Knives or the Blast Scepter, which are all debuff artifacts. So we'll move on now to boons. So for the campaign boons, you want all the power ones, all the health ones, and then use the others to balance your stats out. For your tier 5 boons, you want severe criticism, which is crit severity, and quick turnaround, which is recharge speed. For your master boon, bloodlust, any DPS class should be taking bloodlust as their master boon. For the guild stronghold, we have crit severity, defense, and mount speed. The crit severity is because the power is already over 180k. So with the power 1, it'll go to 192, I think it is, something like that. So the fact that you lose the 8k, but you gain 15% crit severity, this character is currently at 142% crit severity without buffs. So with buffs, it goes to about 165, 166. So that is a lot of crit severity, and that means every time you critically hit, you'll be doing a lot more bonus damage. So we'll move on now to companions. So for companions, we have 6 empowered runestones in offense slots. We have potent precision for more crit severity, Raptor for the Raptor's instincts. Now this is one you'd swap your Deep Crow out for if you're in a party where all 5 people have got the Raptor, because Raptor's instincts is 2,000 per person. So if you've got 5 people, you will gain 10,000 power, whereas the Deep Crow only gives you 8. We have Sergeant Nox's Wisdom, the Alpha Compy, and the Cantankerous Mage's Wisdom with the Minstrel's Discipline. These are it for the companion bonuses that you can get. 3 Bonding Runestone rank 15s for maximum transference from your companion to your own stats. And obviously the Bullet Pup as the active companion. Again, like on my Warlock, this character is at 14.5% bolster, so he's nearly there in terms of getting the maximum amount from the companion. We will move on now to mount insignias. So first of all, for the mount insignias, you want to be going for all brutality and all dominance. There are some crescent ones here which give defense and crit avoidance. These will eventually need to be swapped out for brutality, because crescent insignias have got brutality, not dominance. So these will be swapped out in the long run for brutalities. In terms of bonuses, we have 2 Gladiator Guiles, an Artificer's Persuasion, which will reduce cooldown of powers, Survivor's Blessing, so when you deflect, you gain a heal over time, and on critical strike with Barbarian's Revelry, you gain a heal as well. In terms of the mount powers, we have the T-Rex. It just depends on what your party needs. Generally, the T-Rex is a very good one to run. Dominant Force Send for 10k more power, and Legendary Movement for that sweet movement speed. We'll move on finally to powers. So for at-wills, we have Relentless Slash and Brash Strike. Relentless Slash is your main AoE skill, and Brash Strike is your main single target skill. One thing to notice with these skills is Relentless Slash, when you use it once, you will get a damage increase of 5% for 12 seconds. So when you're in your single target rotation, you will do 1 swing of Relentless Slash to get the 5% damage buff. That will last for 12 seconds. You will spam your Brash Strike as much as you can, and you will be getting that 5% damage increase for that 12 seconds. So when the 12 seconds is up, you stop hitting with Brash Strike, you hit with Relentless Slash, and you get the damage buff again for 12 seconds. And you just keep doing that over and over. So then onto encounters, we have Bloodletter, Indomitable Battle Strike, and Frenzy. Frenzy is the hardest hitting skill a Barbarian has at 975 magnitude. IBS is at 500, but has a shorter cooldown. And Bloodletter, along with the feat Bloodspiller, which increases the magnitude of Bloodletter by 400, and recovers from cooldowns 3 seconds faster, but it does cause you to take damage rather than you be healed from using it. So in terms of magnitude damage, 920 is a massive hit with a small cooldown compared to Frenzy at nearly 15 seconds. Plus, when you're using a Bark Shield enchantment like we have here, then Bloodletter, as long as you've got a charge, the charge will take a majority of the hit of Bloodletter for you, so you won't even lose any health. In terms of the class feats then, we have Steel Blitz and Barbed Strikes. So Barbed Strikes is pretty simple, it increases the severity of your critical strikes by 25%, hence why Barbarians can get their crit severity very high. Steel Blitz is your at-will attacks now have a 20% chance to strike the target twice. You will do a lot of damage with this because that's a 0.2%, sorry, that's a 20% chance of you doing that, which if you work it out, it's something like every 5 hits you will do a second hit with your at will. So that means your Brass Strike will be hitting for 220 rather than 110. So that's a very good feat to use. For dailies, we have Savage Advance and Avalanche of Steel. Savage Advance is the quickest cast time daily and very high magnitude that Barbarian has. So that's why that is used. And then Avalanche of Steel plugs in with Steel Slam, which is whenever you use Avalanche of Steel, create a circle of unstable ground upon landing, dealing physical damage to enemies within. So you'll do the initial hit of 700 magnitude and knock enemies down, and then you'll do a 250 magnitude damage over 12 seconds and apply a slow effect for 3 seconds to those enemies. So very good for AoE instances or where you're just looking to get constant damage for the next 12 seconds out. Going through the actual feats then, we've got Relentless Speed, which is based on the AoE rotation. So for AoE, Osiris or Smithy uses Not So Fast, Bloodletter and Frenzy. Even though these two are single target, because of Relentless Slash, you don't really need to worry about encounters on AoE, but this one is very good because it's a quick attack. It does have 11 seconds cooldown, but with Relentless Speed you do have a chance to be able to cast Relentless Not So Fast very quickly, based on allowing the use of Not So Fast regardless of the power's cooldown and without triggering a cooldown. But that's only when you're using Relentless Slash, which is why this for AoE is great, because it synergizes with this very well. So let me just slot that one back there, because this is single target. I've already talked about Bloodspiller, so you know that it increases the damage of Bloodletter, but does damage to you. Over Penetration, this is a very good feat that all Barbarians need to be using. Whenever your armor pen exceeds the enemy's defense, your damage is increased by 2% for every 500 armor pen you are over their defense. This effect cannot exceed 10%. So if you do 500 times 5, that gives you 2,500. 2 times 5 is 10%. So as long as you're 2,500 above the cap for that zone or that boss, you'll be doing 10% more damage. So for the new zone of Avernus, it's 90k, hence why the armor pen on this character is at 95, because it's 2,500 over the cap. So that is why that feat needs to be used and how you would build it up to do it. And then I've already talked about Steel Slam, so that synergizes with Avalanche of Steel. And then finally we have Relentless Battle Rage. You build twice as much rage, but Battle Rage now only increases damage dealt by 14%. So where you'd get a 20% buff, you now only get a 14%. But you build up rage so much quicker, and you can pop it so many more times that it's negligible in terms of the amount you'd put out. Plus the other feat that you use has the chance to incapacitate you for 3 seconds, and for a DPS class, having 3 seconds of no damage is a hell of a long time. So the final mechanic then to talk about with the Barbarian is the tab skill. So the tab skill for Barbarian actually activates the rage, and this basically gives you the increased damage, reduces the damage you take, and gives you control immunity. It also makes you attack 50% quicker, and with Brass Strike, That's a hell of a lot of hits in a short amount of time that does high magnitude damage. So that's pretty much it for this build. Like I said, this is based on Tower of the Mad Mage. Feel free to hit us up with a like and a subscribe on the video, or if you have any questions or even improvements that we can make, please let us know. As like everyone else, we are still developing our own characters. We are still learning things about the game that we didn't know. So please, if you have any information that you require from us or any extra information to help us, please let us know. But thank you all for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.